What's up, y'all? This is Reina Williams.
And I am JB the Jeweler.
And you are now tuned into
Somebody Come Look at This.
We live right here. Welcome back. Episode 6.
Yes.
Reina Williams and JB the Jeweler.
Know what it is?
Enjoying life.
It's warm out.
How you been feeling?
Oh, I'm good. Like I said, it's warm out now. You know, it's when we started recording this, it was cold.
It was cold.
But now it's warm. I feel like I can move around. You know, we got the window open right now.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of sage burning, I believe that is.
Yeah, I got some sage and some Palo Santo.
Uh-huh.
Oh, so I got to say it correctly for other people. Palo Santo.
It's better you than me.
Yeah, listen.
I'm going to butcher it. My girl always gets on me about butchering different Spanish pronunciations.
Yeah, that's
I got my pantaloons on. Got the old pantaloons. always, every time. And I thought I was doing good too. I thought I was kind of feeling myself with the pronunciations.
Yeah.
But you know, she's from Elizabeth, so she knows the proper pronunciations.
Oh,
yeah.
She got that Elizabethan Spanish.
You know it. And she's Portuguese, and she swears that she is not Hispanic or Latina. She's like, no, I'm basically a white girl, and I'm like, you're a white girl with a bit of what's the seasoning?
Sazon.
You're a white girl with a little sazon on you. Is what you are. Okay. You're a white girl with some flavor. Don't sell yourself short.
She got a little sazon y adobo.
Yeah, she got a little flavor to her. Okay, like she's not your howdy neighbor.
She the white girl that don't think cilantro tastes like soap.
You're right. She kind of digs it. She kind of likes the lime on like her yeah, she
A little spicy.
yeah, a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Which is what I like.
She's
of
seasoned.
course.
Because you know they some people call white people unseasoned.
Of course, and
Yeah.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly, of course. Yeah, there are a lot of unseasoned white people.
Yeah, they can't take the seasoning. Like the other day when they had those the spicy dried pineapple. You can really tell who were the real ones.
Oh,
when we handed out spicy dried pineapple.
Yeah.
The chili spice.
You could tell by the face right away.
And then the diabolical people just letting their kids just try it. Oh yeah, here, try that.
Oh, they were setting them up. Yeah, they were setting them up.
You know, that's probably the one piece of joy in their day to see their kids gag.
Yeah, it's harmless. It's harmless. I think that's part of having kids. You gotta throw a harmless gag in there every once in a while. Scare the hell out of them.
Like when we were
Couple
talking
times.
about throwing cheese on a baby's face.
Harmless.
Flat.
Good, clean fun. That's all that is. Like lawn darts and lemonade. That's just good, clean fun, baby. Like that's all it is. I gotta say though, I my flavor is not when it comes to food. I am not a spicy food eating guy. Not whatsoever.
No.
I mean, little by little. Again, my girl, she makes fun of me, and I'm trying little by little to get more spice. But Reina, I want to taste my food.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to be one of them. You see people that like eat food and they're sweating,
Yeah.
and they're sweating into the food, and they're just
Yeah.
like, "This is great."
The eyebrows start sweating.
Yeah, they're addicts.
Yeah.
They're addicts.
Yeah, you don't want to eat pain.
Exactly.
It tastes like ow.
But you scientifically get a dopamine.
Yeah, you do.
You get your brain releases dopamine
For sure.
when you eat really spicy food.
Yeah.
They're not eating for the flavor. They're eating
No.
it for the buzz.
Oh yeah.
They're addicts.
100%. There's like a documentary series that was on Netflix a few years ago. It was like the tales of the pepper people or something.
Really?
And like the people that do the competitive pepper eating. Right,
Oh,
they
God.
do, and also it had some talk about some of the men and women who grow these peppers. Like the ghost pepper was actually created. Like a ghost pepper doesn't just exist in the wild.
Oh, I
the
thought it
ghost
was-
pepper was created by a guy who kept like kind of experimenting and crossbreeding, like dip a Scotch bonnet into this, and now we're gonna do that. And then what kind of seeds you get from that, and then just until the point where like it's like a whole market for having ghost pepper in something. Like that guy got money for his powder of the hottest things. But some of these people are so insane that they even talk like this guy, he lost his marriage because his marriage dissolved because he wanted to fucking eat hot peppers all the time and be blowing fire out his asshole. And these people talk about they keep toilet paper in the freezer, bro. Like that's serious, some serious shit.
I'm gonna start asking people like you like spicy food. You like it enough?
Yeah.
You got toilet paper in your freezer? They're not gonna know what the hell I'm talking about.
And the lady, so it's these two people who actually created like the contest, right? This man and his wife, and his wife is like the OG like champion of pepper eating. Like she said that she will die before she loses. Like this lady. Well, like
it's dedication, if nothing else.
It is dedication, but I'm just like, so is capsaicin is the thing that makes this is the shit that they put in darts to get people to like go limp, like and go numb. Like you got like our ancestors were like, yo, how do I get this animal to like stop running away from me so that way my family can eat? And they figured out, oh, we gonna use this thing that grows here. We put the oil on it and hit them with the. So this lady, like, she was eating these peppers, and it affected her. Her body started having this reaction where she couldn't even hold a napkin, bro. Like her hands was like she couldn't like pick a napkin up to wipe her face because she was snotting and all this stuff. And the guy that she beat, his nickname is Johnny Scoville. And so Scoville is like the scale. If y'all don't know, this is a scale of like heat.
Yeah,
you
the
know,
pepper scale.
Yes, and this guy, his name is Johnny Scoville, and he'll take like these motherfuckers be having tincture and dropping the spice tincture. Like that's you need to go talk to somebody.
That's too much.
That's
you need
too
therapy.
much. Yes.
You said a ghost pepper was created by a guy?
Yeah.
That's disappointing. I thought it was a pepper that died and came back to life. I thought it was like a demon pepper from the other side.
No, that's what it fucking makes you feel like, though.
Yeah, that was what I thought the whole time. Nowhere near that.
You ever fuck with the one chip challenge?
I don't want to be in the room. No. I've never in my life have I been one of them guys that, hey, you eat this roach for $20? Kiss my ass.
Am I eating no fucking roach, man?
Negative.
It tastes like walnuts. I don't care.
Negative. I've never hot chip challenge. Nope, I'm good.
I did
bag
it once.
Of Doritos.
I did.
My chip challenge is to not eat a whole bag of Doritos in one sitting. That's my chip challenge.
That is a challenge. Because Doritos are damn good.
Oh my God, you definitely like. I think it's Lay's. You can't eat just one.
Yeah.
But Doritos, man. I saw a bag of Doritos. Let me just real quick. I saw a bag of Doritos the other day, just laying out, and it was half a bag. I
saw that bag.
Right, and I saw it. It was folded over.
Yeah.
And it was just out.
Yeah.
My immediate thought was, "Is this a trap?"
Right.
This is a trap.
Looking around.
Who's leaving nacho cheese Doritos?
Yeah.
I'd understand if it was like an offbeat flavor. It was a flavor that nobody really wants. You know, one of them new flavors.
Honey mustard. You stop it.
Right.
Stop it. Even the yellow bag just looks off-putting.
Honey mustard vinegar. Some just odd flavor. No, it's nacho cheese.
Oof.
The Holy Grail, the OG.
Oh, man.
The original. They put those in Lunchables.
Dude.
Like, those are the ones. And I didn't touch them. My spidey senses were going off.
Oh, no.
When I saw that bag.
Oh, I saw that bag. I was in that bag.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
And
I mean, I didn't dig my hand in because that's the community service announcement.
Yeah.
Listen, if you got community bag of any type of chip, do not put your hand in it. Pour it into your hand.
Yes.
I don't give a shit if you done washed your hand. Like, that's just rule number one. I mean, we all went through COVID. Even before COVID, can you imagine? Like, the thing that I didn't understand about, didn't understand a lot of things about COVID. But the one thing, here comes the ice cream truck.
I was going to say
Let's go.
that puts a special little joy in my heart when I hear the ice cream man outside. That's how you know summer's here. And also, I don't want to see a fancy ice cream truck. I want to see an old Ford Econoline pulling in.
We don't go to that ice cream truck. They want to charge $5 for some stale ass cone. You better get out of here. You don't even got real sprinkles. You don't got Jimmy's. You got them little waxy ass fake chocolate sprinkles. You better go ahead.
Oh, okay.
They say, hello.
That's the one.
Goodbye.
I think I was talking to you the other day. That the one in my neighborhood. I feel like that's the one. The ones in you don't find those in the fancy neighborhoods.
Nah.
But like in your middle class or your other neighborhoods, and maybe in the hood, you'll have ice cream trucks that be like, "Hello."
Right. She talking about hello.
I'm here.
Right.
They got a little attitude.
And you gonna keep going with your $5 stale cone, bitch.
Oh, $5. That's steep.
Yeah, it's steep, bro.
I remember a buck. I grew up in the 90s, so like a buck.
Even in Brooklyn, it was $1.50. You can't, but that was 2013. Anyway, the COVID thing that I didn't understand, even though it wasn't a lot of things I understood,
Yeah.
Why are we telling grown people on the radio to remember to wash your hands? Like,
Yeah.
like, I have no words. Just like I have no words for the people that ask questions that make no sense when you're answering your own question. The other day, I overheard this lady. She was asked, "Oh, I see you have flowers. Would you like a flower bucket for your flowers?" And she was like, "What's a flower bucket?" I wanted to turn around and say, "You leave now.
Yeah.
You don't get to be in here anymore. You don't get to do anything. Just leave. Because what like the flower bucket? The name is the description is the I don't know.
The description
I
is
don't-
what it is.
I
or
can't.
the name is the description.
I can't.
Like that's what it is. You got to just
I can't.
say bless their heart.
Bless your heart.
Got to say bless your heart and let them be. Wish them the best. I mean, they made it this far, right? They made it this
Yeah.
far. Didn't
I
fall
don't know
into
how.
a manhole.
Shit.
Or a piano didn't fall on them. You know, they didn't trip over a shoelace and crack their head open. So, honestly, shout out to them. It's a wonder of nature.
It's a miracle.
That's where like natural selection is a fickle bitch. Natural selection, okay, it picks and chooses when it shows up to work.
And sometimes I wish other things weren't selected naturally.
Yeah, right. You're like good people. Good people have left us
Yeah.
in some pretty messed up ways, but here you are.
Yeah, rest in peace, Ann Burrell. I don't know if you heard about that.
No.
It just happened. You know what I'm talking about? That the chef lady who's on Worst
Oh,
Cooks in
yeah,
America?
yeah,
She
with
just
the-
passed away, bro. Like, I don't even know details. Like, this just happened.
She had like the blonde hair,
blonde hair,
kind
little
of the Duke
spiky hair.
Nukem
Yeah,
cut.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's crazy. That's why, you know, I'm not trying to like be a Debbie Downer or nothing like that. But this is your public service announcement to call your loved ones and tell them you love them. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? 'Cause it's
you
like,
never know, really.
no dates guaranteed. And she was young on the scale of like, you know, your average age. She was in her 50s. You know what I'm saying? She still had a lot of life left. At least we all think we do. You know,
think you do,
at that
right?
age, and then you know now she's with the ancestors. But like, rest in peace, Ann Burrell.
Yeah, rest in
Like,
peace.
you know, just speaking of Food Network.
I like that we're on food too because I actually have something.
I want to hear it. You go.
When it comes to food, it's nothing crazy. I personally, I was thinking about, you know, I'm gonna go back to, my girl, and how appreciative I am of the fact that she takes great pleasure in cooking things for me.
Oh yes, my wife too.
And we've talked a couple podcasts ago, I think it was like the Valentine's Day one, about appreciation.
Yeah.
And that's not just Valentine's Day, it's all year round. And I appreciate the shit out of the cooking. And each time, especially as a guy, you know, living on his own, you
Yeah.
know, we do not live together yet. So right now, I go to her place and she cooks for me. And you know, at my place, I'm making it happen. But it's a sandwich. Maybe it's some good old fashioned gringo tacos.
Yeah.
Yes, I get the old El Paso seasoning. No, I do not want to make my own. I just like to throw it in. You make your own. Cool, awesome, great for you.
Yeah.
For me, I just want to make some simple tacos.
Yeah.
I want the meat. I want the cheese, lettuce, maybe tomatoes.
Yeah.
It's as fancy as I get.
Yeah.
And a nice flour tortilla.
Flour.
Don't give me no whole wheat. Okay, I know what I'm getting. Give me a flour tortilla.
Nice.
But she cooked for me, and there hasn't been one thing, honestly, that I haven't liked yet. I know it sounds like I'm just trying to get brownie points, and maybe I am, but it's the truth. Not one thing has been bad. She cooked for me recently, little tortellini. I love pesto. I love pesto because of Stouffer's pesto, rigatoni and chicken.
Oh,
which
snap.
is now $5 used to be $2.50, and
The
that was a
nerve.
steal.
The
yeah,
nerve.
Yeah, there's certain things that really have hit me about inflation, and that's one of them. Stouffer's dinners used to be a good, cheap
Stouffer's
alternative.
mac and cheese.
Like, I'm sorry, at $5.50, I'm looking at a hungry man. That's the bracket I'm moving into. Okay, Stouffer's.
He moving up in the world.
Okay. But anyway, she knew I like pesto. She made me pesto, tortellini, and shrimp.
Oof.
And she got the nerve to hit me up talking about, I don't think it's my best ever. And it was one of the best efforts. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
So at this point, she's 6-0 when it comes to cooking.
Killing
she's
it.
putting up Jordan numbers.
Nice.
She's got 6 of them things.
And she's with Caitlin Clark's. Whew.
She's kind of Caitlin Clark in the kitchen.
I hear that hot shit.
And she's not like a chef or anything. You know, she was when we got together, she was like, you know, I don't really cook that often. You know, she makes stuff for her family.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like I just love. There's just something. It's the simple things, and it's just so. It feels so good when when you get a meal made for you. Especially, you know, I haven't lived with my mother for years, and you know, it's what mom did, and it's like such a great extension of love cooking for somebody.
Yeah.
I want to do it for her. I haven't done it for her yet, but the kitchen in my place, I share a house with a lot of guys, and the kitchen is not the place you want to be. It's kind of gross, to be honest. It kind of smells bad. There's odors coming from crevices that
You're like, what is that?
that have been there for a while. So, you know, one day though, but yeah, man, it was just fantastic. She made me some Portuguese chicken one time too. It was great. I just so look forward to it. It'll brighten my day when I can go get a meal over at her place. I spend some time with her family, and it's just a good time.
Yeah.
And I just want to shout that out. And I wanted to ask you, what is something that your wife makes that you just get a little excited about when you hear about it?
Damn.
There might be a few, but what is one of the first ones that come to mind? But when the wife says they're making that, you get a little pep in your step.
Bro, when she talking about she making arroz con habichuela.
See, I don't even know what that is, but
That's
it
the
sounds
rice and beans, my guy.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when she makes the stew, like the beans, saucy beans, instead of putting the rice and the beans together. Because sometimes she'll put the rice and beans together, and we have it like that, and we have maybe have some chicken and eat that with some avocado, like cut up. But when she makes like the beans and stuff separate from the rice, and she put the saucy beans, like it sounds so simple, right? And she'll always say, "Oh, this is a nice peasant meal." I was like, "Well, this is a happy ass peasant because we out here, I'm out here smashing,
right?
You know, probably
the
that
meals can be the best.
Yeah, man, and like she makes these potatoes, like these crispy like Parmesan potatoes, like they don't even make it to the plate. Like she pulls them out the oven and they on the pan, and I'm sitting there like grabbing them. Babe, no, I'm eating them right now, you know, and I eat them later, and I eat them tomorrow.
Yeah,
but you know how I knew something was wrong. Speaking of COVID again, how I knew something was wrong.
How?
Was when she was making some food, and that shit tasted horrible. I was like, she's like, babe, can you taste this? And like she's putting in it, and she had put like half of the jar of spices in it. I'm like, babe, why? This is not. I was like, this is not good.
What, it didn't taste like anything? It tasted like
tasted
bland,
too
or?
much.
Oh,
like
too
she
much.
put too much, and that's how we knew that she lost her taste and smell, her sense of taste and smell.
Oh,
because
okay.
like
that makes sense.
And so for 2 weeks, I did all the cooking, and then she was like, "Oh my God, I can tell that this is good, but I can't taste anything because I can cook, bro. Like I have some skills, but like her cooking is like next level, right? So like dinner, she kills dinner. Like I do breakfast. Like
there we go.
She loves when I make breakfast.
There we go.
You know what I'm saying? And like lunch is one of those in between things. We usually do like a salad or like something real simple. But like breakfast is my jam, and dinner is her thing. But during COVID, man, I was the one making dinner when she had the Rona. You know, because she couldn't smell and taste it. And I could tell because she, like, I was just like, why did you put the entire jar of curry in here? Like, I don't understand. I'm like scraping my tongue. And then it was like, not even it. She's like, I didn't want to put salt. I just felt like it needed more spice. I was like, no, it doesn't need any more. It needs less. I wish you could take it out.
Yeah.
You know, and she was in there really like doing her thing. But she was like, you know, so it was like weird. That was weird. But yeah, no, my wife is an excellent cook. Like, to the point where like she's made cakes. She, you know what I'm saying? She makes these, she likes to call them little hand pies or like turnovers. Like she gets on a thing, you know, she just gets on this kick. Or like the other night when she made like this elote corn dip.
Okay.
And then we had like quesadillas with it. It was just dumb. Like she sometimes she just gets on these kicks with like, I'm gonna make this, or she'll hit me up, yo, can you bring home this, and that?
Yeah,
and
my
I
girl
do
does the
not
same
object.
thing.
I'm like, oh, whatever you about to make, I'm about to fuck it up.
Exactly.
Forget all what you heard.
Come with it.
And my dad is another person who is like an amazing cook.
Shout out to Dad. Father's Day just passed. Father's Day just passed.
Yo, shout out to all the pops.
Yeah,
right?
shout out to all the dads.
One time he came here, I guess it was when he came here in March when me and the band performed.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd been telling me, he would always call me like, I just made these cookies. I'm like, don't tell me about some shit that I can't try.
Yeah.
Because he wants to describe all of it. He's like, oh, and I did this and I did that. But no, he took, speaking of spice, right?
Uh-huh.
He took some Scotch bonnet peppers, which are pretty hot, and he took some
He
walnuts.
didn't put them in cookies, did he?
He took some walnuts and some Scotch bonnet peppers, and he basically like cooked the peppers and the walnuts with some sugar. So he
Okay.
basically like candied these walnuts with these peppers, and then he put the walnuts inside of these cookies. Oh my God. Like, it was like perfect. I was like, damn, this chocolate chunk cookies. And then all of a sudden, there's this little bit of like heat at the end, but it wasn't too spicy. It was so delicious. I'm like, how do you, like, what are you doing? This is a person who would watch a movie and there was some kid in the movie who made this tart. And then, of course, in the movie, they actually showed the recipe real quick. He paused it.
See the recipe.
Oh, yeah. And he wrote it down, and he went out and got every single ingredient. And one of the ingredients cost him $120.
Holy
it was
shit.
pear liqueur. And
What
he
was it?
Pear liqueur.
Pear liqueur.
And he made...
For cookies.
No, to make like this tart, like this
Oh, okay.
chocolate mousse tart
Like a dessert.
with these... What was it called? Cat's tongue cookies. So it's just the way that they're
tongue
shaped.
cookies.
Yeah, it's the way that they're shaped. Like he goes so hard. I mean, it must be nice being a retired artist. Like you sit in your house, you write all day, you make sculptures, and you cook.
And you make desserts.
Listen, I told him, I was like, dude,
What a life.
next time you make, now he wants to make, I don't know if you've seen the video, the lady made a cake, or it was like this, some type of pie for Julia Child.
Ooh,
And it
Julia
made her
Childs.
cry. When Julia Child tasted this pie, she got a tear in her eye.
Really?
So, and my dad's like, I'm going to make that. And I'm like, you're not going to make it unless I'm coming down there.
I'm gonna make the pie
like,
to make
what do you
Julia
mean?
Childs weep.
Bro, and it's like one of them pies with it's like basically like a custard, and then this other type of like eggy, like whipped sweet sugar situation, and then it's got the crust, and then
Probably
it's
light
just
as
some
air.
fat girl
Just dances on your tongue.
just like farty afterwards. You just letting it rip, and I don't even care because that shit made Julia Childs cry.
You
that
could-
just make me cry.
I'd be telling that story for decades.
Listen,
I'd be bringing that up at random occasions. I'd be at the DMV. I'd be like, I made a Julia Childs cry.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
They're
Hey,
like,
what did you
sir,
do?
we just need your paperwork. My bad. I apologize.
Julia who?
Yeah,
So-
oh, God.
oh, violation.
I mean, Julia Childs, how long ago was it that she, because, she's, I don't think she's around anymore unless she's on some
nah, she with the
off the grid channel.
Yeah, she with the cooking gods now. She looks.
Oh, she's gone.
yeah.
Oh, shit. All right. Rest in
No,
peace, Julia Childs.
Like, no, we gotta look it up because
Yeah,
I'm not
she-
trying to make the lady dead. Like, you know how everybody was killing Betty
Yeah.
White before she was really
Preemptively,
dead.
she's like,
the internet killed Betty White like 5
motherfucker, I'm
times,
still here.
bro.
Let me see. Julia Childs. Julia Childs.
Child.
A friend of ours, Luke, does a wonderful Julia Childs.
Oh, I gotta
impression.
hear it.
It's fucking hilarious.
I gotta hear it.
She did die. Yeah.
Okay,
She,
okay, good.
So we're
safe.
We're
It's
safe.
not
We're
killing
safe.
Julia. She already done passed
Yeah.
on.
Not
Rest in peace,
not
Julia.
to cheer her death.
Hanging out
But-
with Amber Rell and shit.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
She's cooking for her. They're cooking together.
Wow.
Yeah. She died August 13th, 2004.
Yeah, so it's been a minute. So it's not like we
Yeah.
just like it just happened. You
Yeah.
know? Wow.
I think it was around winter time. I was I was singing this little song that I made up. I like to make up songs just
Yeah.
as I'm walking. It adds to life. And I think some of them are quite touching and some of them not so much. Some of them are crude and loud and they're not so good. And I think the song, oh man, how'd it go? It was like I'm going to build me a snowman. I'm going to make it sick. I'm going to build me a snowman. Give him a big dick. that was my winter song, you know? And I would just start singing it to people, you know, randomly. And then and then Luke was like started impersonating Julia Childs, and he was just like, and we got a nice parsnip. There's a nice parsnip for the snowman's penis. You know, like how it's a strong penis. It's a full penis. It's a proud penis.
It's a strong length of him.
The strong length of him. Oh, shout out to Court of Thorns and Roses. It was
Hey, yo, that reminds me of like
it's a different kind of snow on the bluff.
everybody listening right now. You should Google Atlanta snowmen.
Atlanta
Did
snowmen.
you see when it snowed there this past winter?
Yeah, it snowed in Florida too.
The snowmen that these people made
No, wow.
was about the most ratchet shit I had ever seen.
They had
And
big
it was
dicks?
fully Atlanta.
They had big dick snowmen.
I didn't see that, even though the internet be interneting, but we did
Yeah.
see snowmen with bullet holes and blood coming out.
Okay,
You
of
see
course.
snow?
You got a zone 4 West Side snowman.
You know what I'm saying? Snowmen with like fucking chains on and shit.
Oh, of course.
Like, it's just like full effect fucking.
He got golds in his mouth. He got
Yes,
slugs in his mouth. A
exactly.
mouth full of slugs. He's like Trick Daddy in '98. You know, baby, I'm on a thug. Oh no, baby, cause I'm a thug.
Baby, cause I'm a thug.
Baby, cause I'm a thug. Yeah,
I miss
yeah.
those days.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I miss those days.
That was back when I used to watch music videos on a channel called The Box.
Oh
They
yeah.
had The Box. It was channel 96 out in Fords.
Oh.
I don't know what it was here, but it was one of them back end channels.
Yeah.
And it was just music videos all day.
I remember the box.
And the box introduced me to so much music that I wasn't getting on MTV.
Right.
Because this was, for me, this was like late 90s.
Yeah.
So this was around the same time as like the boy band craze.
Right.
So MTV was a lot of boy bands. It was a lot of Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. And shout out to them.
Yeah.
You know, you like they're you know, they did their thing, but like that's not what I was into.
Right.
And you know, my father, he was into the heavy metal and the rock.
Yeah.
And like I was into that when I was younger, but I don't know, it just didn't like hit me in the way it did when I first heard like Beanie Siegel.
Yeah.
Or like old Jay-Z, that old Rockefeller, that Memphis Bleak, you know, Memphis Bleak is, that Ja Rule, that original Murder Inc. stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I remember, I think I broke my dad's heart the day I told him, Daddy, I don't want to be a rock star. I want to be a big timer. Okay? I want to drive Range Rovers and get ass.
Damn.
You know, like, I don't want to play the guitar. Like, I want to, yeah, there was just something about the rap, and I loved it. And The Box, I used to just watch 9-year-old, 8-year-old Jesse
Yeah.
watching, you know, DMX, Rough Riders Anthem.
Yeah.
The whole Rough Riders clique, The Locks.
Yeah.
And I remember, too, you remember All That on Nickelodeon?
Yeah, oh,
You
my
remember the
wife
show
loved all that.
on Nickelodeon?
Yeah.
Shout out to All That, man. That's a show I feel like doesn't get enough love. All That.
They used to have a
was-
musical guest.
And they would have The Locks was a musical guest on All
the
That.
kids show, bro.
And they had kids. I'm gonna see if I can find the video. They had an Ice Cube
Yeah, they did.
performing a song, I think, about getting freaky. And they had a bunch of like elementary school kids up there.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
Of all races,
In
white, black,
hindsight, yo,
Asian.
like Nickelodeon, you know, if you've seen any of them documentaries,
Yeah,
you're
Nickelodeon
like, wow,
was a little wild.
You know what I'm saying? It bring it all full circle. You know, they was out there like Mohawk Diddy with his
A
itty-bitty
little
Tootsie
bit,
Roll.
right? Which is, you know, don't meet your heroes, I guess, right?
That part.
I'm gonna see if, like I said, I want to find it right here. Ice Cube on All That. I mean, it's a video that's been making the rounds. We be clubbing. Ice Cube on All That.
It's so crazy. And remember, and that was the same era as like, remember Jenny Jones?
Jenny Jones,
Oh man, how
Maury.
she got in trouble because somebody got fucking killed. When she remember when she did that show where it was like this guy.
He was the gay guy.
Yeah, he had a crush on the guy
On his friend, I
You know,
think,
and it's so wild. Like that time of television was so interesting because there was no on demand. Now it's like, oh, you could pull up whatever you want to watch, pull up, all right.
Yeah.
But I used to rush home from school
Mm-hmm.
every day to get home at 3:00 to watch what?
Jerry Springer.
Jerry. That biggest fucking train wreck. And the best part was when they would have the audience members get up and say something, and they would just, the people on the stage would just be like, sit down, bitch.
Which was wild at the time because all the other
Right.
talk shows were very like orderly. You know, you had your Oprah, you had your Montel Williams.
If y'all don't know.
Shout out to Montel.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they were all very orderly, and like that was the I guess is the dichotomy the word? That was like the design of the show. You know, that was the system. And then Jerry came along, and this audience member would get up,
Right.
and be like, "With your dumb ass."
Right. And his show didn't start out like
Looking
that.
like shit.
And I think the guy, Richard Dominic, the producer, I forget what kind of like flipped it, because I actually did also watch a documentary about that too, because me and my wife, that's the one thing we love to watch, documentaries and crime shows.
Yeah, I love a good documentary.
And
Love a good
especially
documentary.
about like these things that happened when we were a little bit younger, or like these pop culture things, and now we're in our 30s, 40s, or whatever, and like looking at this stuff from our childhood, and you just see it in like a different way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're like, what's behind the scenes? Like I didn't watch the Vince McMahon one because I wasn't too much into football too much, but like just these different.
I can tell that was wrestling. Reina.
Yeah.
Vince
Wrestling?
McMahon was the WWF.
Yeah, what did I say?
He said football.
Oh shit. He looked like he played football.
He did do the XFL. So you're actually not wrong.
No,
I should
but
tell
was
you you're
still
not wrong. Yeah.
I was
I was
Thank
in the
you for
wrestling.
correcting me, because I was out here just talking.
I'm sorry. There are a couple things I nerd out about, Reina, and it's wrestling, especially 90s era wrestling, Attitude Era, Stone Cold, The Rock,
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels, and Godzilla.
Oh.
Okay, I didn't do superheroes when I was younger. I don't know. I wasn't into comics.
Yeah.
I read books, but I was not into comics.
Yeah.
I wish I could have been, but I tried. I couldn't do it. I was something about the pictures and the panels, and it was just like all discombobulated in my brain. But wrestlers were my superheroes.
Godzilla.
Oh, and Godzilla, man.
Godzilla.
I had the old VHS tapes with the dub, where the lips didn't match up with what they were saying.
Oh man.
They said it is Godzilla, and you'd see it. The lips would just be saying something
Are
completely.
you gonna
different.
go see the new one?
What's the new one?
Oh, they got the new one, which basically is kind of like going back to the first time they ever discovered Godzilla, and like they.
Is that like one of, because you have the American ones that they're making?
No,
and then
this
you have
is
the
a Japanese. This is a
Yeah.
Japanese like language movie, but they're releasing it here because it's just a new Godzilla movie, but they're keeping very true to the form of the original. But the era is like, I guess it was like the 20s or 30s or 40s.
Was that the one that just released though?
Yeah.
I think it's what's it called? Is it?
It just came out.
It's Godzilla Zero or something.
Yes.
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
See, it kills me to say this.
That you haven't seen it yet?
No, I did. I watched
And it was
I,
bad?
I didn't get through it. It was one of. It's very few. I like to finish a movie when I start
Yeah.
watching it, and it was one of the few movies. Again, it kills me to say this because it got really good reviews.
Yeah.
That I just didn't really connect with the story itself.
That's fair.
And I was like, I'll get back to it. I never did, and I just don't have a desire to either.
Yeah. That's how I feel about that
Yeah.
new Gladiator that I waited to, because I had a feeling that it was going to be not good, and the violence was good.
Yeah.
Like in the new Gladiator, I just felt like sometimes when they remake these movies, like they try too much to take from the other one and then the first one, because the first Gladiator was so good.
Yeah.
And you felt his character, like you really wanted him to get
Yeah.
vengeance, and like his story and everything, and they basically have
Russell
tried
Crowe.
to regurgitate the whole thing, and then they throw Denzel in there just to like so you will watch it, because
Exactly.
otherwise I wouldn't have, and actually I didn't finish watching it, and I don't really care to. Like I was watching it, I was like, okay, this is cool, the fighting scenes was cool,
Yeah.
but I'm just like, this storyline is so unoriginal. It's so like nobody really thought about this.
it was pretty much the same story.
It was.
That they told in the first one. You know, the guy gets enslaved by the forces on the other side, and then he becomes a gladiator, and he's trying to win his freedom.
Right.
And I also think, you know, you had in the first one, you had that emotional hook point.
Yes.
That makes you hate the antagonist, which you kind of need in a movie like that.
Word.
Is that, you know, his family was murdered.
Right.
So, like, that's what I think hooked you as the audience member. You wanted to see this guy win. Right. You wanted to see him get revenge. You wanted to see the wrong righted.
Right.
And this new one didn't have that.
Nah.
It was, you know, he had his lady and everything, but like, and she died, but I think she was also kind of like a soldier. I could be wrong.
She was a soldier.
So there's also the kind of like, forgive me, ladies, but there's also the kind of like, well, she was a soldier.
Right, like nobody came for them while they was just chilling and living a life and on purpose. We murking you. No, they took her out because she was a hot shot with the bow and arrow. And they were like, oh, she
was in the mix.
Exactly.
She got herself in the mix.
Right.
And it's like, sucks what happened, but that's, you know, kind of, that's how it goes. Whereas in the first one, it was his child and his wife, completely innocent.
Yeah.
And it didn't have that. So you were kind of like watching it, like I said, mainly for the fight scenes. There was no emotional hook point that really tied you to the story. And I feel like in any narrative, you need to be emotionally tied to the character to really want to finish the story and see it through.
But that scene when he was fighting them big ass baboon shits, that was crazy.
That was wild.
That was crazy.
It was wild.
Like, what is this? What are these animals that he's fighting? And it's funny because when my wife and I actually went to Rome, and we that was during my birthday. Was it my birthday? Or we was in Italy? Yeah, so it was during my birthday.
Light flex.
And and that was, we had gone to, before that, for her birthday, we went to Europe because I bought tickets to go see her favorite band, Fat Freddy's Drop, but they don't come to America. So they were playing in Manchester, England.
Okay.
So I bought tickets for that, and it was like literally the day before, after her birthday. So I was like, I bought the tickets to the show first. And then I bought the plane tickets, and we flew into London, and then we did a little country hopping. We were out for 10 days, and we went from London, and then we went to Manchester, because Manchester's a little ways over in England.
Okay.
In Manchester, we saw the show, and then we went to France, and we stayed in Paris for like 2 nights, and that was her it's her birthday situation, so we was there. Anyway, so the one year we was in Italy, they had like this, I really wanted to go to see the Coliseum, and I really thought that like we weren't going to get in, because when we went online to look at the Vatican tour and the Coliseum tour, like all the tickets were sold out. And and it's a different time. Like you're trying to adjust to the time. So like when you're getting there, it's like so many more hours time difference. So you're a little jet lagged. So like when you're sleeping, but it's still daytime there and like all this stuff. So while I was sleeping, she figured out a way for us to get into the Vatican Museum and to the Coliseum to do a tour.
Nice.
And it was like the Coliseum tour. Always try to do the guided tours whenever you go to a place, because the person who's the guide, they know a lot of shit that if you was just gonna go to the Coliseum and look at it and see it, you're like, oh, that's cool or whatever, but you don't get all the details for the stuff. So the lady, she told us that the Coliseum, at one point, they filled it with water and used it to do like these boat battles.
Yeah, they did naval battles.
And they showed it in the film.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to my dad about it, and he was like, he said when he was like, oh, I saw the trailer, he's like, oh man, that looks crazy. And they doing all kinds of fake shit like putting boats in. I said, oh, that's not fake. That's actually historically accurate.
Happened.
He was like, oh, really? I was like, yeah. And the Coliseum, the actual name of the Coliseum is the Flavian Amphitheater. And it actually says it on the side of the building. They called it the Coliseum because back in the day, it used to have this giant statue of the Colossus standing in front of it. And Nero, y'all know who Nero is. He's the person that used to sign the 666. That's where the mark of the beast comes from, is Nero. Nero was an evil motherfucker. He fucking burned the goddamn whole city down and killed children and babies and all types of shit. And before he did all of that...
I had a CD burning program in the day
called Nero. That's crazy.
And that
Burning.
Makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
People are diabolical with their name and shit.
That makes sense.
Nero was fucked.
Nero made me a lot of money though.
Yes,
tape game,
I bet he did back in the day.
Yeah.
You at LimeWire doing your thing.
Yeah.
That guy from Metallica would come after you in a heartbeat. Lars.
He wasn't a fan. So
he wasn't.
I had, although if it makes me feel better, I migrated to a message board. where it was illegally distributed,
Nice.
and it was a much better relationship.
Those were weird times, man.
Lars, I think that was.
Lars
It was
Ulrich.
Lars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He used to think he was the leader of Metallica. And there's
Yeah.
that whole other thing. But yeah, like the Rome was so interesting, and like just if you can ever go, fucking go.
Yeah.
It's because you don't, dude. Like the Sistine Chapel, my guy. You don't appreciate it. Like, fuck it. The damn Eiffel Tower, bro. Like, you see it on pictures, you see it in movies. If you ever go to Paris, stand directly underneath that bitch. Like, you do not realize how massively amazing the structure is until you see it in person. And the guy who built it literally did it to show off his skill. And I'm like, he's showing the fuck off. Like, he's definitely the master welder and builder and architect out this motherfucker. Because that shit, like, I actually took a picture standing directly underneath of it. It's probably one of the best phone pictures I've ever taken. And like going to the Colosseum, going to these old cathedrals, and like the Sistine Chapel, you're like, this dude painted this on his back. And you're looking.
I was about to say that was the one. Was it?
That
I might butcher. Was it Michelangelo
Leonardo
or Leonardo
da Vinci.
Let's look that up.
I'm
What's the
pretty
Sistine
sure
Chapel?
is our boy.
'Cause
No,
I don't want to.
those Italian
sound like
guys,
too much of an idiot.
In that era, they were just like the shit. And you're laying on your back and you're painting this story of like the creation.
Yeah, that's the one with the finger
and
with God.
yes,
Yeah, with the yeah.
You can't take pictures of it on your phone. And you know who owns the. This is going to blow your mind, and it's not going to surprise you. Do you know who owns the rights to the pictures of the Sistine Chapel?
I mean, I'm gonna immediately think the Catholic Church.
China.
Really?
China.
They
You
own
will
the pictures.
They own, like, you can't
They
go
have like
in.
the copyright to the
Yes.
pictures or the images or something.
100%.
How did that happen?
Because it's China. It's
China, low key. I mean, it's terrifying, but you also can't hate the hustle. They got their hands on a little
Listen.
bit of everything.
Listen, they probably just trying to figure out how to duplicate that bitch.
They did that strictly so the flea markets could
They're
stay
gonna
in
make
business.
a janky version of the fucking Sistine Chapel, so you a prefab chapel. It's ship that bitch to your country. $29.95.
It's okay. Maybe shout out to me on this one, Michelangelo.
Michelangelo, go ahead.
I
with
believe
your bad
that's what I
self.
said, right?
Yes, that's what you
Yeah.
said. I said Da Vinci, but Da Vinci's the one that designed all those crazy whirligigs.
He did the Mona Lisa,
Right.
and he had his code.
Mm-hmm.
So Tom Hanks, we had to wait for him to be born to figure out that code.
Exactly.
So shout out to Tom for figuring out that Da Vinci code.
Yeah, Dan Brown. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Michelangelo was the one who painted the Sistine Chapel, commissioned by Pope Julius II in 1508 to repaint the vault or ceiling of the chapel. The work was completed between 1508 and late 1512, so it took him, that's 4 years, took him 4 years.
Yeah. That thing, I think I almost cried. Just at the awe of seeing it in person and being like, damn.
Yeah, and that was created by a human being.
The detail.
Completely there was no machine making that. It was all a human being.
On some
that
crazy
lived at one
scaffolding.
point.
Yes.
That's the crazy thing that I think about sometimes is we sometimes look at like these people in the past and like some of those things created, and we see them so many times on TV and movies, they almost become artificial, or they become like that. You got to remember, like, that was a human being at one point that, like, Michelangelo had to go and paint that, and then he went home and probably doubted himself, just like any artist does. And it's just amazing to really think about the fact that that was a human being and that was a current thing that was unveiled, and he probably had his doubts about what he was creating, what he was painting. And one of my favorite stories to look back on is Van Gogh. Like, Van Gogh was not recognized, excuse me, he was not recognized for his painting until after his death. And the reason being, I read this in an article in the New York Times Magazine, the reason why we even know of Van Gogh on this massive scale is because of his sister-in-law, is because of his brother's wife, who after his death took his paintings and around, I guess, art collectors and stuff.
Yeah.
And basically was like hustling to try and get him recognized, to try to get him placed in like art shows. And she got rejected a ton of times because nobody got his work. And then finally a certain person or people got his work. It was actually her who was the reason we even know of Van Gogh.
Wow.
And it's
Shout out to
amazing
her.
because now we have, we know Van Gogh. We he's this staple in art, and he's known as this renowned artist.
And he cut his ear off and shit.
Yeah, right. We know about his, but he was a human being who struggled,
Yeah.
and who doubted himself greatly. And one of my favorite. I don't really watch the Doctor Who series, but I did watch an episode because the story of Van Gogh fascinates me. And as a writer like myself, you always like doubt your art. You're always your most critical of your own stuff. And there's an episode of Doctor Who with Van Gogh, and they never in Doctor Who. For anybody that doesn't know Doctor Who, first of all, welcome from underneath the rock you've been under. But it's a show about there's like a telephone booth, and they go back in time,
Yeah.
and they interact with people in history. And there's a rule where they will never really. I guess they can't let the people know how their story turns out because it might alter history.
Yeah.
They never, of course, bring them back to the current time.
Right.
That's one of the rules. In this episode with Van Gogh, they get so emotionally connected to Van Gogh that he's the only one they bring back to the current time.
Oh.
And they take him to a museum that's having a Van Gogh exhibit, and they don't tell him what they're going to.
Oh, shit.
And they bring him back, and of course he lands in the current time, and he's like, "Where are we? What's going on?
What's all these conveyances?
Yeah." Yeah, right. And they take him to the museum like, "Oh, we're just going to an art show. You like art? We're going to show you some good art." And he walks, and it's a great scene. It's on YouTube. You don't got to watch the whole episode. He goes to the art museum, and he sees his art.
Damn.
And all the people admiring his art and talking about how great it is,
Wow.
and how great he was as an artist. And it brings a tear to your eye just as a human being. And the guy that's running the exhibit, he walks up, and I guess he doesn't realize he's talking to Van Gogh, which, I mean, obviously, why would you think you're talking to Van Gogh? He's
Exactly.
passed on.
Yeah.
So he's speaking to Van Gogh about himself and talking about how great his painting was and how it was revolutionary and all this stuff. And like the Van Gogh is just very emotional.
Yeah.
In his time, not in his time, he was just very emotional about the thing. And then they send him back, and you unfortunately find out he still commits suicide, even knowing.
Wow.
And that speaks to the mental struggles he was under.
Yeah.
But just speaking about that stuff, and I can imagine seeing those things in real life. It's got to be, you yourself as an artist, it's got to be very impactful to just see other artists and see masterpieces in real life. And
Yeah, I mean, I feel like as an artist, speaking from my own perspective, is constantly trying not to have that imposter syndrome.
yeah.
I can speak to it for myself,
Oh, no, I relate. Imposter syndrome is something I honestly struggle with every day.
Yeah,
In all facets of my life.
yeah.
And yeah.
Especially when it's like you don't really you can't, like, for me, I can't step back a lot of times. I've had to train myself to try to step back and not be so nitpicky about my music and how I'm making stuff, and then the comparison to others and all that stuff. And so that's why I remember before last episode we were going to get into talking about like some of my stories from like busking.
I just thought of that. And,
No, it's cool. Like, this is kind of like a cool transition because I was thinking about some interesting busking stories. For those of you who don't know what the word busking means, is when like you play outside or in a space for money. Like you just pull up. You got your guitar, you got your whatever. Like, so busking is very popular in a lot of cities like New York,
of course,
like subway
subways.
busking, or like, in Central Park or whatever. Like the same thing in LA, people just on the side, Nashville, it's super, super big, and it's just a way, a lot of times, it helped me become a better singer because I would go out and be like out every day or 3 or 4 days a week, and my rule was like, I would stay in a spot, but either $50 or what was it, an hour? Like, I would be in a spot. If I didn't make $50 within an hour, then I would move.
okay.
And But if I knew that the spot that I was in was good, sometimes I would stretch it to like 2 hours in like the money thing. But like, man, I never.
I feel like there's I don't mean to interrupt you.
You
I'm
good.
sorry about that. I feel like there's a momentum too.
It
I
is.
feel like when people see other people giving you money,
Yes.
there is probably there's just a momentum. It's like anything, you know, at the end of the day, like we're independent, but we're also a hive mind
Right.
in a way. And I think that it could be that 1, 2, 3 people start giving you money. All of a sudden, you'll have other people that want to start giving you money, want to start listening to it. If there's a big group, people want to be part of it.
Yo, it's the funny shit that I've gotten. Like the day that I made the most money in an hour was the day that the Pope came. I swear to God. And the song that made me the most money was the George Michael's "Faith."
Faith, shout out to George Michael. I was just talking about George Michael.
Faith on Pope Day. They was just feeling real generous.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Yes.
George Michael.
George
I was
Michael.
talking about George Michael and Boy George and the Culture Club
Oh, yes.
the other day. Shout out to them, man.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Shaking that booty.
Uh-huh.
You know? But funny things that I've gotten, because sometimes people don't give me money. They'll give me other things.
Oh.
I've gotten food. I've gotten an apple. One time I got a bag with like an orange and a hard-boiled egg. I was like, oh, this was totally what you didn't eat for your lunch that day.
That's ridiculous.
Another time I got one of those.
What, did you not have a bag of baby poop on hand?
And another time I got Nutella pizza.
Nutella
pizza. It was like a small pizza, but it was like sweet. It's like
sounds
Nutella.
gross.
Yeah. That was
You
fun.
eat it?
No, yeah, I ate it.
You ate it? Oh, you ate it?
I
You're better
ate it.
than me.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
good. Beggars can't be choosers.
Okay.
Buskers can't be choosers.
Salute to you.
Listen. And then another time, I got a pack of guitar strings, which was
That's
like
a thoughtful
very
gift,
helpful.
I feel like, yeah.
Very helpful.
They must have been a musician too.
They had to. Like, we just carrying around guitar strings in the
Yeah,
fucking pocket.
they had to know the struggle.
Yeah,
Shout
they know.
out to them.
Yeah, and then what else did I used to get? Not money, obviously. The people that would put like pennies in it, I would just like look at them and just keep playing.
Yeah, I think you're better off at that point not giving anything
Yeah.
than to give pennies.
And
unless it's like a little old lady, they love giving some pennies.
Yeah, or the
enough
homeless
love.
guy. One time, a homeless guy gave me pennies. I was like, that is like $5 to him.
Exactly.
So,
shout out. Yeah,
shout out
he's
to
doing.
him.
He's giving what he can. You ever get like, speaking of old ladies? They ever give you like a? Sometimes I try to say things and I have so much going on in my head that it just comes out as mush, and that just happened. Apologies to all the listeners. I'm gonna try to slow down here. Did you ever get? Speaking of old ladies, they ever give you a nice Werther's original?
Wow.
They ever like flick you flick a quarter with your thumb, give you nice Werther's.
I love me a Werther's original.
Oh, then you would have welcomed.
Oh,
that
yeah.
Werther's.
Werther's. And then
Those strawberry candies.
I think I mentioned this before. I got a music video out of it with from Mr. Gregorio, and that was freaking cool. Like, granted, he saw me doing my thing, and he's like, "Hey, I'm a filmmaker," and he's like, "I want to shoot your video for free. I just want to have it in my portfolio."
Okay.
You know, so it was. He's like, I got some other projects I'm working on, but you know, we can shoot this, and then you know, I'll edit and get it back to you. And there's a video you can go watch it right now. It's on my YouTube page called Epiphany. And literally, like, it starts out with me busking, and then, you know, it took a day, you know, we went out for a day and, like, went in different locations, and he did some really cool, like, composite shots where, like, I'm in the same frame as me doing one thing, and I'm doing another thing in the same frame.
Okay.
It's very cool, like,
Yeah.
you know, and then I got a gig out of it. I was playing at this.
There we go. That was
spot.
gonna be the next question I was gonna ask you. Is like going from busking.
Yeah.
What was your first real gig? Like, was this your first real gig that you
Well,
got through him, or?
Well, I mean, as far as like going down there and being down there, and then have somebody be like, "Hey, I want you to come play at my."
Yeah.
That happened. It happened once.
Okay.
And playing at this place, I'm not gonna mention the name
Okay.
because I had like not a great experience in the long run with the guy.
Uh-huh.
You know, he came up to me. He tipped me like $6. I guess he thought he was hot shit because he tipped me $6. And then he was like, "Yeah, I used to be in this group called Sly Fox. And you remember that song? That song comes on. Y'all have heard this song. It's called do we go all the way? Oh, 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 take me all the way.
Hold on. Let me see
Take
if
me
I can.
all the way. I don't want to get in trouble on copyright shit.
That's true,
Ow,
right?
ow, ow.
That's true.
But that's how it goes. Sly Fox, right? This
Okay,
guy was in
yeah.
this group, Sly Fox. He was bragging to me, oh, yeah, I did this, and I toured the Chitlin circuit. Like, I guess he thought he was hot shit because he was white, but he done toured the Chitlin circuit.
I was
and
about
shit.
to say, yeah, was he white?
Yeah,
Bragging
and
about touring
all
Chitlin
the black
circuit?
bands, they loved him and stuff like that. And so he invited me to come perform in his, do some shows at this little spot that he was like, I guess he had started managing this spot, right? But then it was just like, the thing about being a musician in a big city, like you have two types of musicians. You have the OGs that done did it, that just kind of do it for fun now and they just love playing.
Yeah.
And then you got everybody else who's really trying to hustle and do it for a living. Right?
Okay.
And even the people that have jobs, like, they don't go out and play in bars and go busking and do all of this stuff just because they having fun. Like, yes, you're having fun and this is what you love doing,
Yeah.
but you're trying to make some money.
But yeah, they're trying to make
And
something out of it.
so I'm there and he's like it's like, hey, I'm gonna get this drummer to come play with you, or like, do you have other people that you can play with? Because he saw me playing acoustic, and so I was like, well, yeah. So I pulled in some couple people, and I played with this one guy, this one really good drummer, Curtis, and he was like a jazz guy, and I had like this other person playing the bass and stuff like that. So then one day, I'm performing, and there's this girl, this really good drummer, this young lady. She was playing the drums, and I brought my guy who plays the bass, this guy Michael Feinberg. Now, Michael Feinberg has toured the world multiple times playing bass. He's played stand-up bass. He's like my age. This cat.
Forget that's the forgotten bass.
Yeah, that's the forgotten. That's some jazz shit.
A lot
but
of people, I think that's a cello.
Nah, I mean,
think it's a cello, but-
it is, but it isn't. There's a
Okay.
double bass, but you could play it with the bow. But that's what happens when there's classical cats and then jazz comes along and they got this instrument, right? And so you're playing it a different way. And so now it turns into the quote unquote stand up bass. It's a little bit bigger.
So is that how the stand up bass came to be? Is that it was originally
Basically,
played with
yeah.
a
Yes.
violin?
Yes.
And then somebody came along and was like, no, I'm gonna fingerpick
We
this
freaking
thing.
it. Yeah.
Freaking it. I like, yeah, that's a much better way than I put it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean,
pretty
I
cool.
could be wrong, but I'm my spidey senses and my musician ancestors are telling me
It's
no, that's
telling
what
me
happened.
That's how
Yeah.
it went. That's a
'Cause-
much cooler story.
Yeah, but they've created different versions specifically now because people have played it like that.
Yeah.
But you're thinking like these are the instruments that we carried over. Like classical music was the music for so long, and then you have like jazz kind of was born out of like a lot of classical players were like, oh, then we're gonna start improvising, not so rigid in our playing, and we're doing these things, and so it's like, so he plays stand up bass. So anyway, the guy he comes to my show, and he's playing bass for me, and we're playing, and like. If anybody's ever come see me perform, especially at bar gigs, I have perfected my in-between song banter. Like,
There
you're
we go.
playing at a bar, okay?
Yeah.
First and foremost. Like, if they wanted a jukebox, they would play a jukebox.
Yeah.
So if you're a live performer, in my opinion, if I got a little story to tell, especially like if I'm playing covers and these little funny songs, and part of my personality, I'm like say little things in between the songs.
Oh, I think you have to. I think because the people are going to get attached to you. You're a brand.
Right.
You're a brand. And people, I remember I heard this study in marketing is that people don't buy what you do or what you create. They buy why you create it.
Yeah.
People buy the story.
Yeah.
If you are, even if you are an artist, right? If you want to make money off of it and you want people to follow it and get attached, they have to get attached to the story.
Right.
Not so much. The product's got to be good.
Right.
But they have to get attached to the story behind it. And I think that's a great point you brought up, is if they wanted a jukebox, there's one in the corner.
Yeah.
When you are there playing live, you have to insert who you are and have to tell them the story behind the music.
Yeah.
And that's how they'll get attached to you,
Right.
and what you play over other things. I think that's a great point.
Right. So you asking Reina Williams to come play at your spot, and you like what I do, and you like how I play the songs. So I'm in there playing. So the first thing that I had issue with was I'm doing my in between, and the guy who owns the place, he looks at me, he's like, "Let's talk in more music." And I kind of looked at him like,
That's a little wild.
are you kidding me right now? Son, and you only paying me $50 to be in here? Like, so really, you paying $50. I live in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
We are in the city right now. So really, net profit, and okay, yeah, I could ask for tips, but like baseline, I'm still only really making $35 because it cost me $15 to get here, and I might have to buy a snack.
I was gonna say if I was gonna say nothing, like because like yeah, if you're getting yourself there, you got to get your equipment there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm surprised
You
like
know,
even that much. So yeah, for
so
$50.
So $50,
You're not.
and you want me to play for 2 hours? And now, granted, you know, we're talking, you know, 10 something, whatever years ago. So $25 an hour, whatever, that's cute. Cool, whatever. So, but for me, you gonna let me do my thing. Yes, okay, and we're getting fed. Okay, beautiful. Like, you giving us meals. So $50, okay, fine, whatever. The OGs are cool with the $50 because they literally live down the block. They've walked here. Like, okay. So, because I try not to listen. You try not to make it about the money, but you live in New York City. You're a young person and you're playing music.
Yeah.
And you're really just trying to at least feel like you know what you're worth, that type thing. And there's people in here eating and spending money. So like $50, you're good with that. So you pay each of us $50 to come perform here. So whatever. So then he says that to me and I'm like, whatever. And so then we were only supposed to play until 10:30 or 10 o'clock. And then he comes and he says, hey, he comes to me and asks me, are you cool with playing for another hour? We'll give you $15 extra. And I was like,
That's kind of wild. I mean, because you said it's like what 10 years ago.
yeah,
That's only 2015.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not like this is like the 1930s, and you know,
Yeah.
$15 goes a long way.
and I'm just like,
$15 is like maybe an
I was
Uber
like,
ride.
I don't know, I guess. But then he walks up to Mike Feinberg. He didn't have a stand-up bass then. Not to say that he knew who he was, or Michael could get a big chest and be like, oh, don't you know who I am, or blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But he went up to Michael Feinberg. This is what he said. You're going to play another hour and I'm going to give you $15. And Michael Feinberg looked at him and was like, I'll think about it. And then
Good for him.
literally
Good for him.
in 2 seconds, the guy was like, you don't get to think about anything. You can get out right now. And he kicked him out. And we didn't play for another hour. And I was done.
Wow.
And then this guy, you know, had a nerve to like call me afterwards. Now, in between then, I think I called the girl who was the drummer and I'm like, yo, like, you know, this guy, like, okay, I know his story about the club. Oh, you inherited the club when it was in the red and all these other things. But like, if you were trying to bring in these younger musicians, not these OGs, and you're bringing younger musicians because you have a younger clientele in the crowd, and we're going to play the songs that these people want to hear,
Yeah.
like, wouldn't it, even if it's just like a monicum of respect, the way that you come at us and the way that you talk to us and the way that we handle it, like, I don't know, maybe like, because I'm talking from the way that I was thinking then, right, versus the way that I'm thinking now. But still, like, ego or not, I just feel like there's a lack of, like, that guy didn't have really, like, any respect for, like, any, like, you respect us for what we do, but at the end of the day, he didn't have a problem disrespecting me over the phone,
Yeah.
basically telling me, like, because I told the girl who was the drummer, I'm like, well, I think that we should be getting a little bit more money, like, for coming in, especially if he's going to ask us to be playing for 3 hours. Like,
Yeah.
not, you know, but it is what it is, unless if he wants to get free musicians, he already has that with the guys around the block, that he should just keep having those dudes if it's a matter of, like, dollars, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But she went and told him that I said this, even though I'm talking to her, like, basically in confidence
Yeah.
or whatever. And then he just calls me, and then he basically starts, like, going down all the reasons why he should be able to talk to me any type of way. Well, I was doing this, and I was this in the 80s and all this other stuff. And he's like, I could have got you in the studio, but you're so arrogant. You would have ruined all the confidence. And then you know what he said to me?
What's that?
He was like, I know that you think you're a man. And that hung up on him straight like that.
As you should have.
Because, like,
Sound like a sleazeball anyway.
I don't think I'm a man. Number two, what the hell does that have to do with the price of tea in damn Sistine Chapel, China?
Yeah.
Like, I mean? Like, it don't got shit to do with shit. So I stopped fucking
That's
with
what
him.
it sounded like he was running, what's the word? It's like a diversion. You know, like sounds like he was getting away from the actual point, which was respect.
Yeah, dude.
Which was respect, and your lack of respect. And he starts listing accomplishments, which is like good for you. But right here, right now, we're talking about baseline respect.
I remember because he called me because he was like, I don't know who your guy thinks he is.
Who, the bass player?
Yes. He was like, I don't know who he thinks he's. He said, he's a nobody. I'm like,
Yeah, that's wild.
Bro.
It's the guy, the whole
Like-
story I'm listening to, the guy sounds like I said, a sleazeball.
and again, I will not say his name, but his actual last name tells me everything that I need to know because it has a certain word in it that would describe the way that a man acts when they are fluffed up and big. And we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
And if he ever hears this, he knows who he is. And it's like, and I don't need an apology. I'm not asking for one. Do you, boo? Because there's been so many times in me making music where I have not gotten opportunities, turned down opportunities, or just like not felt right about them. And I am safer and more sane for it. Like, it may be like a longer quote unquote road for me to get to. For me, my personal goal is like, I want to be touring with my band and I want to be like playing shows and making that type of living and just being like that, right? And so like, but I think I briefly on my Instagram page told the story. I could have worked for Puffy. I don't know if I told this story.
I think you touched on it
on the podcast.
I think you touched on it.
Like, I
You
could have
definitely told me, but I don't know if it was on the podcast.
I could. So when I was about 21 years old, because I make beats for y'all that haven't done any research on your girl Reina Williams or haven't visited my website. I've been making tracks since I was
feel free to plug it.
Feel free.
Real quick.
ReinaWilliams.com, ReinaWilliams.com, and you can also find the podcast. Somebody come look at us on ReinaWilliams.com.
There we go. And then plug your Instagram. For those that may
Instagram
not
is
know.
at Reina Williams Music. All of my social media is at Reina Williams Music. So you can find me on the Instagram, on the TikTok, on the Facebook at Reina Williams Music.
There it
So
is.
anyhow, I was about 21, 22 years old, and my dad was in the TV business for a long time because, he worked for my uncle's show or whatever. And I guess through his contacts in the TV business, he ended up helping me get a meeting at Bad Boy Records with this woman named Francesca Spiro, who was like Puffy's right hand, and she was actually like the person who was in charge of the producer camp. So she was in charge of like finding the producers to make the beats and making the music and all that stuff.
Okay.
So I went up there and I had a CD.
I think she was in charge of baby oil too.
You know what, bro? True story. She's dead,
Is she?
and she wasn't an old lady.
Wow.
And we're just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
Anybody can do their research on the reason why she died. She had a whole problem. She actually was trying to sue Puffy because she felt like she was wrongfully terminated. It was all this lady is not alive anymore. She died in 2018.
And what was the name one more time?
Francesca Spiro.
Francesca Spiro.
So you can go look it up. I'm not bullshitting. Yeah. So anyway, I'm in there and I had like a CD. 'Cause back in the day, you burned CDs and you go.
Of course,
You had your
yeah.
had my beats on a CD. So
I
I
was
was
just talk about earlier.
went to this studio called. He had like a couple different studios in the city. This one called Daddy's House.
That's where the band.
Yeah,
That's what I used to record.
Or the band. Okay.
Making the band.
Yeah.
Yeah, Daddy's House. That's
Yep.
what I used to, which is, looking back now, a little odd name for a studio.
Little odd
but-
name, but Puff Daddy was his name.
It
so,
was his name. That's true. That was
so
his name.
okay. So I'm in there, and there was like one of the producers were in there. We're in the studio, and I'm playing the tracks for them, and they're like, you see them nodding, they're bobbing their heads, and you're like, yo, that's hot.
Yeah.
And I had some stuff that I had kind of written, like some hooks and all. Like I was like, oh, this is just a hook that I did, and they were like, yo, so you wrote all of these? I'm like, yeah. You made all these beats? Yeah. Oh, you play guitar too? Yeah. And they started getting more and more excited.
Okay.
And then they were like, oh, but you live
was a
in...
good sign.
Yeah. And they were like, oh, but you live in Baltimore? I was like, yeah. And they were like, oh, so you'd have to like commute like 3 hours? Mm-hmm. Well, yeah,
They
because
want
I
you
don't
to
live
move?
here.
Is that what they want? They were like, could you move to the city or something?
Well, they didn't even ask me. It was more so like, they were just disappointed that I wasn't there already, or that it would take me so long to get there. And they were like, okay, well, thanks for meeting with us and whatever like that. And so like as I'm walking out, Puffy's walking in.
Oh shit.
And I just remember getting a weird vibe.
Uh-huh.
And that was it.
Uh-huh.
And in hindsight, that's how, a lot of people like to use the phrase, look at God. Look at God. Like how creator, because for me, I like to call it the divine source of all things, creator. And God is, I feel like, such a minimal, like kind of weird way.
Yeah,
right?
I agree. I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Not to get too religious.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It's
It's a
I'm not
creator.
religious, but I
Yeah.
am proudly agnostic. I think that, that's a great way to put it. Creator, universe.
The creator. But the creator was looking out for your girl. Because I could be testifying in the fucking trial right now.
Yeah, you could.
You know what I mean? Like, who knows? There's been so many situations where in this music industry that I felt unsafe as a woman. And I had been asked to change my image in order to XYZ ABC. Or I have been asked to, alter what I'm saying in my music in order to whatever. Now, I'll write a song for someone else to do whatever. And so it's like, but I've done enough things. I have my music plays off over 500, it's been placed on 500, 600 TV shows. Another time I went to, when I first started getting into like music publishing, like we were talking about that before we started. Basically, what you were telling me, how people, the guy and the girl that you met the other day, that they create stuff that gets placed in films and TV.
They create stuff for like movies, game, background music, sound effects.
So that's the music publishing business. You could find like publishers that basically they will come to you or you go to them. Usually you go to them and knock on their door and do a little dance and like, oh, you really like this. But basically you find a publisher and they could help shop your music around and get it placed. Or some producers or some people, they create their own publishing companies and they do that hard work and build those relationships with the music supervisors of Fox or whomever that has TV shows or Netflix or whomever like that and get your stuff placed. So I've
they
had
got
my
the connections.
Yeah,
so you pay,
exactly.
you basically pay for their connections.
Right. And so you take a little, they take their little cut for helping, but it's a cool business and it's a cool thing to get into. So it's like, at any given time, sometimes I'm like watching stuff, especially like Netflix lately. We were watching something like a couple of seasons ago. Was it not Cake Wars, with some Bake Squad. That's what it was. Bake Squad. It was like this baking show, and I'm like, oh, that was my song. I'm hearing my song in freaking Bake Squad, and hearing my.
It's a Netflix show.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they used another one of my songs for like a promo for Girl Boss and like just a bunch of shit that I'm just like, sometimes I'm just sitting around. And like recently I've done placements with I just did this track, like some UK shit. This guy, Gads, this producer Gads, who does this real crazy, like cinematic, like hip hop. I just did a project with him and another guy who's really good. His name's Ozzy. What's his Knives at Sea? That's his producer name. I did a bunch of tracks with him.
Knives at Sea.
Yeah, and
I like that name.
Yeah, his shit got the things that we got placed got placed in some soccer.
Although he makes like pirate music.
Right?
His tag. Arr.
Yeah, I never really asked them why, but like they're just cool. Like it's just cool to like make music with people, and like I've performed at like festivals where I got to be on stage and do a whole set. I had Gaylan Dorsey, who is David Bowie's bass player. She played bass for me on one of my sets. So I got to meet some cool people and do some cool things, and I'm still set to do, like I just did a song with Michael Franti's son, Cappy Franti. And Michael Franti's like a really huge artist around the world that like if you know him, you know. You've heard his songs. They play his songs, at the spot.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it'll come on. I'm like, oh, there's Michael. You know what I mean? They play a couple of his songs like just in rotation on a lot of like the stations that they play in like stores, and when his stuff been in movies. Like basically, like he was one of the first artists to get 1 million downloads on iTunes.
Oh wow,
Michael Franti. from the song that they ain't gonna mind me plugging the song. Hey, I'll be gone today, and I've been back coming around the way. The more I live and thing I go. Boy, it seems like everywhere
that sounds
I
familiar.
go, the more I see, the less I know.
I feel like I probably heard that.
Yeah, everybody. That song's been on like the Disney's and this and this and that. So like, you know,
I feel like especially that. Hey,
yeah. I mean, he's, you know, it's amazing like hearing like Cappy when he was here before when we last year and we were working on a song and he was telling me the stories that his dad was telling him about like him coming up in the industry and stuff like that and just like understanding the art of songwriting and like intentionally writing something that's catchy.
Yeah.
You know, there's definitely not quite necessarily a formula to it, but it kind of is, you know, but some people just do it naturally. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like just knowing like shit that like honestly, it's the stuff that like people can sing when they're drunk. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
I mean, that makes sense,
they
right?
ain't gotta remember too many words.
Yeah.
You know, but
you don't want it to be too overcomplicated.
No.
That's why some people get mad. They'll be like, a hook is only, 1-2 lines. Oh, that the chorus, the hook is only 1-2 lines repeated over and over because it catches.
Yeah.
It rhythmically catches.
Yeah.
It's a good melody. That's
Yeah.
all you really need.
You give them the
when it comes to
substance in the
catchy
verses.
music.
If you really want to give substance, then you give them the verses.
Yeah.
But the hook is really like where it's at, you know. And so, and it's interesting. Like when we were working on Start on the Inside, when Cappy and I were here doing it, and I had written the hook before. The first part of the hook before he came here, or like, I had sent him the track. I'm like, I'm bubbling on this, and I got the hook. So by the time he gets here, we're just good for like sitting down and writing verses. He's wrote down, and he's sitting right where you sitting, and we started to work on it. And I'm like, man, this needs like, I think we both said it that this needs like another like chorus, like this needs or another like part, like. And so, and I was thinking about his dad's music, and then I was thinking about something that was like everybody could remember, even if they couldn't remember the first half, they could jump in on this, and then that's when we came with the whoa, 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 start on the inside. So it was like the whoa, whoa, whoa. It ain't too complicated.
Yeah.
Whoa, 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 like that. And so like it's fun to write with other people, and it's fun just to be able to write music, and like I appreciate like just this platform of us talking about it and me being able to share a story. And if anybody that's listening right now wants to know more about my story and stuff like that, you can check out this dope interview that I did with a guy in my band, Patrick Bamburak. He does this podcast for New HD Radio, night. I think it's like Night Music with Patrick Bamburak. You can go check out. It's on my YouTube page, and you could just type in Patrick Bamburak. And yeah, I did an interview with him. If you really want to really dig into some stuff, because we definitely were talking about some real detailed stuff.
Shout out to Patrick, man.
Yeah.
He's a supporter of the podcast.
Yeah.
He's every time I post something on my
He's a good
Facebook,
dude.
Instagram, he's always one of the first people to like it.
Yeah.
He was one of the first people to follow the page. And honestly, I don't even know him that well. I feel like I met him once or twice, maybe not even that, but he has always showed love to the podcast.
Yeah,
so
he shows
shout out
love,
to
man.
him.
He's like an OG around these parts. Like he's one of the cats that like he's played with everybody like in the Jersey scene, and like in the New York scene, and like some of the OG like rock guys, and so it's just like the music world is actually a small world. You know who used to live across the street from me?
Who?
Mario.
Really?
Mario used to live across the street from me, talking about you should let me love you. But I remember
that was a jam. I had the remix with T.I. and Jada when I was in high school. Man,
Yeah.
I burned that to a CD.
Yeah.
I'd take that if it was a girl I liked in a car.
Word.
I was like, oh, you like that song by Mario, Let Me Love You?
Yeah.
Then you see Jada, you hear Jada's Life. Yeah, this is the remix, girl. This the remix, girl. Yeah, this is, that's before I was the jeweler. I was only Jersey at that point in Florida. But
Yeah.
yeah, man. Wow. Mario.
Yeah, Mario, he lived across the street from me.
Where? This was in Jersey or in Baltimore?
No, in Baltimore, Pikesville, Maryland.
Yeah.
He lived, and I used to buy weed from his cousin.
I used to buy weed from Mario's cousin.
Yeah, dude. He lived in the house, and I remember the last time I really saw him, he tried to come my driveway with his little stupid dog. He was like, we should get our dogs to fight. I was like, if you don't get out of here.
Who, Mario said that?
Yeah, he did. And then he might have been like 12 or something, maybe 13. And then one day I stopped seeing him. And then another day, he's on TV singing
Surprise.
"Bill Baby You" in front of the
You
freaking
got what I need.
theater, that historical theater up there in on York Road in Baltimore, Maryland.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just like, wow, just who knew he could sing, you know?
Oh, so
And-
he wasn't like singing in the
I
neighborhood
mean,
or
I didn't know.
Uh-huh.
You know, he didn't.
Then
he
again,
not,
you said he left when he was like 12, 13.
yeah,
right?
and he and I didn't. We weren't. We didn't go to the same school. So
Yeah.
in our age range was like a little bit different to where he was a little younger than I am. And it's funny because one of my best buddies who was also briefly, you know, he had a record deal. He was one of the in my wedding party. My buddy Chris P. He used to go by Chris Plenty.
Chris Plenty.
Chris Plenty. He has a fabulous singing voice, but he knew Mario from back in the day
Yeah.
when he was in LA and he had a deal. So, you know, it's one of those things like I think what I want people to take away from this, listening to this, that like a record deal isn't everything. Because a lot of times, you know, I mean, granted, do people really need deals these days? Not really.
Yeah, I mean,
Like-
I feel like nowadays you could get that one. I mean, shit, we can get into like nowadays you make that one song that people are putting on their TikTok.
Yeah.
That's more lucrative than
Right.
a record deal.
Yeah,
You know.
I mean, but that has its pros and cons, you know, because another great musician, Derek, who's in my band.
Shout out Derek, man. I know Derek. Shout out Derek.
He's a great drummer. He's a young guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's definitely like doing his thing out here. He's plays with a lot of different artists, and he was telling me about this show that he did last month where the headliner was like this artist who had blown up on TikTok.
Uh-huh.
Now, the 15 seconds of his song blew him up on TikTok.
Yeah.
So he goes to this event and it's about 200, 300 people right at this event. And there's other bands playing, but there's this guy who's like the person that everybody wanted to come see.
Yeah. The TikTok guy was
The
the one
TikTok
everyone
guy
came to see.
Derek said that he was on stage for 10 minutes. And the reason he was only on stage for 10 minutes was because nobody else knew any of his other They didn't even know the rest of the song.
They just knew
only
the part they heard on
15
TikTok.
seconds. And then when he tried to play other songs, they weren't really feeling it. But then he got offended that they weren't feeling it. So he left. And I'm just like, this guy's career is over before it even starts.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, and that's another reason why most people that get into music, they always do other shit. Like, not T.I., but T.I. is good at saying, that's not what I meant to say. What's his name? The auto-tune, my God.
T-Pain?
T-Pain. That's the T.
T-Pain.
He literally he said he makes more money streaming on Twitch than he does off of his music.
Oh, I would imagine nowadays, yeah. That's a whole nother crazy thing.
And it's the chase of like, if you ever watch him talk about this, I remember him saying after he had that first hit, he actually bought a house for himself because he didn't want to live with his wife because he didn't want to be distracted, because then he felt like that feeling of like, oh, you just made the hit, now you got to do that again.
Yeah.
And he's like, the pressure of like being able to be that again,
Yeah.
it made him kind of insane. And it's sort of like, that's why Rihanna doesn't need to make music anymore, because she made a smart business decision that turned into a multi-million-dollar business. She out here having babies.
Yeah.
She's like, fuck an album. Like, why does she doesn't need to make music anymore if she doesn't want to.
Yeah, and that's another thing too, is like you'll have some people talk about like, you know, so and so fell off. It's like, did they fall off,
No.
or do they not need to make music anymore?
No, or they just
And
didn't want to be
they don't want to
in
be
baby oil.
Oh, yeah, right. maybe they want to be regular people for a while. They don't want to be around all these creeps and weirdos that are all over the place in the industry. And maybe they were just, you know, you got to remember these are regular people too.
Yeah, dude. So it's like, I feel like I'm still navigating my own personal self-sabotaging things. And like, granted, I don't give myself enough credit, you know, because from outside looking in, you know, my wife's like, yo, you're super talented. Like, everybody's like, yo, you don't give yourself enough credit.
Yeah,
all right, so I'm hearing that.
Yeah.
I accept it, you know, and I think it's just me knowing that, okay, I definitely like could do more with I'm here. I'm 42 years old. I can still sing. I still got all my limbs. I still got my faculties. I still love making music, but it's like that feeling of like falling in love with it because once you know a lot about this industry, it could definitely make you jaded, and
I would imagine.
and just like seeing the things that people do and the things that they go through and the things they have to deal with in order to get in the rooms with certain people and be writing and like I said, back to things happen how they're supposed to happen and when they're supposed to happen. So that's why there's times when I think about just quitting, and then when I think about quitting, just pursuing it, like, oh, I'm just going to do this for fun, versus like, oh, I'm going to go out and try to get shows, and like I want to eventually get a booking agent and like all of those things.
Yeah.
Like the thought of me quitting is so depressing because I have dreams. Like I literally had a dream last night that like I was on a tour bus with Michael Franti, and the weird part of the dream was like I was unprepared. Like on my suitcase, I only had these shirts that all had holes in them, and every other thing that was packed in my bag was just a bag full of bags. Like I'm carrying baggage and I'm not prepared. Like that's the thing that I feel like, in all honesty, sometimes I feel not prepared, but I'm just like, but I am. Like, all I got to do is show up and play my music.
Yeah.
Like, because I don't post on TikTok enough, or I don't do, like, that's really where I'm like, there's all these balls I'm dropping because I feel exhausted. Like, I've been doing this for freaking 25 years, bro. I'm like, and the technology and everything has changed and changed and changed and changed. Like, and then the COVID happened. And so it was just like that put a
COVID messed everything up.
Ruined everybody's life for fucking 4 years,
Even I think there's even now, like there's a lot of things that COVID affected that are, still closed down. And and it still hasn't gotten back. I don't know if it'll ever get back to how it was before COVID.
And now people are like, oh, AI and all these things. And
that's why you hear Timbaland just signed an AI artist.
How? How are you signing an AI artist?
That's what I was like. I don't know. I think Timbaland's an asshole for that. That's just my opinion.
I just saw a brief
Great
thing.
producer, but I think he's a dickhead for doing that.
I saw a brief thing with this. He was having like this meeting or a podcast or something, and there's a couple people in Zoom with the little videos and stuff. And this young lady, she was like basically leaning on him. She was like, yo, I've spent my entire life to become the most excellent concert pianist.
Yeah.
And like, you're going to sit here and tell me that you would rather just get a computer to do something that other human beings have dedicated their lives to perfection, because you will never get the nuance of feeling, of an expression out of the freaking AI.
Yeah.
And so like, and on top of it, a lot of these music supervisors and all they won't even accept any music if it's been made by AI. So like, there's already a backlash in the art community. And I do think also that like, it's pretty irresponsible of someone who literally has made a career out of actually being creative to now like sign an AI artist. Who's listening to that?
Yeah.
I want no part of it. I'm not even gonna I don't even want to hear what it sounds like.
Yeah.
You
at
know,
all.
because music and art is literally all we have that belongs to us individually as people. Even if it's like, oh, there's nothing original under the sun, everything's, yes, beautiful, you are absolutely right, but like, you put Buckethead and friggin' Slash next to each other, some of the two greatest guitar players on the planet, and I can tell the difference of who's playing. Now, if you say, AI, can you make a track that sounds like Buckethead playing guitar? Of course, but is it really gonna sound like Buckethead, or is it gonna technically sound like Buckethead?
It's gonna be a mimic.
We gonna have Slash, or we gonna have a freaking all the algorithms are gathering from. It's ridiculous. And honestly, you can't play a music festival in the woods with the fucking AI. Okay? So that vibe of being in festivals and being in scenes and being in a community, that you will never replace that.
No.
Nobody, like, going to see Tupac's hologram is good one time.
Yeah, you're not gonna want to do that multiple times.
We're not rocking the Tupac hologram
Yeah.
and Michael Jackson holograms. Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Yeah, if that was the case, then Chuck E. Cheese's band would be touring still to this day.
Chuck E. Cheese.
They'd be up there with the. I actually heard a quote that, and I know we probably have to wrap up soon here, but
Oh, I think it stopped. Oh, did it? No.
I heard a I heard a quote recently, and I'm gonna butcher it probably, but it was based on Facebook, and it was just talking about like why are we creating AI to create art so that we could do more laundry and chores? Create AI that can do laundry and chores so that we can create more art.
That part.
And that's this kind of scary part about the AI thing is it seems like a lot of the AI, like they're doing it to like take away things that have that human element to them. And I personally think it's gonna get to a point where it plateaus. I
Yeah.
think the AI thing is gonna be cool and it's gonna be a novel thing. But I think that like anything that's mass produced, people are gonna get tired of it.
100%.
And I think just in the same way that if you have a chair, this is just a random example. If you have a chair or a pair of jeans even, right? And you have a pair of jeans that's been mass produced in a factory, or you have a pair of jeans that's been handmade by a jean artisan from Japan.
Right.
The ones that were made by the artisan in Japan are going to be worth way more than the jeans made in the factory. And all we're doing now is we're just transferring that sort of relationship, economic relationship, to the non-tangible, to the digital. And it's just going to, I think at the end of the day, when it comes to a story, a movie, a piece of music, at the end of the day, and I feel like this is the truth, people are going to get tired of the AI rather quickly. It's a novelty thing.
Yeah.
And I think that they are always going to want the one that was created by a human. And you're going to be able to tell the difference in the quality between the one that was created by a human being that really felt a passion for it and an AI that just mimicked what a human being once did.
Exactly.
I feel like the AI is always going to be a mimic. The AI is not sentient.
Right.
The AI right now, what they're creating is literally just mimicking something that a human being once created.
Exactly.
And I read something in an article that is the issue they're having is they're like, you can't recreate the human element.
No.
All AI is, no, I think it was on the Bill Burr podcast. There was a guy who wrote in and he does like AI work and he's like, AI has been around for a while. He's like, all it is doing is it's searching the internet for what people have already created and it's just regurgitating it.
Yep.
It's not creating its own thing. He's like, now when AI starts to create its own thing, then it's scary. He's like, but it can't do that. It's literally just mimicking what people have created and regurgitating that information. So, yeah, man, at the end of the day, I think the art that's created by people is always going to be more revered and more sought after and more valuable than anything AI created.
100%.
At the end of the day. And I do want to, there is a quote, we were talking about art and everything like that, imposter syndrome and creating. There is a quote that I believe I heard from, let me look it up here. I think it was Tyler, the Creator. I could be butchering that, but it says, if you're an artist, or I guess, it's Tyler, the Creator. He said, create like a child and edit like a scientist.
Word.
You can't create and edit at the same time.
No, you cannot.
And I run into that with my editing, or not my editing, my writing, excuse me. I want to edit it as I'm writing it.
Yeah,
and that stops the you can't do both at the same time. So remember to just, and I got to remind myself, I'm saying this just as much for myself as anybody else, but if you're doing anything you're creating, keep creating first and foremost, no matter what recognition you may or may not be getting. But remember to create like a child and then edit later like a scientist.
Word.
Creating is the time to be childlike. Remember when you were a kid and you were playing pretend, you weren't worried about editing what you were doing. You were just doing. And I feel like that is, just remember that first and foremost. And another quote I heard from a video game I've been playing is that keep doing what you're doing because even the smallest of ripples can create the biggest of waves.
Beautiful, man.
Keep it. And at the end of the day, I also want to plug our Instagram page. Switch it up a little bit. We do have an Instagram now. We have a YouTube as well, and Instagram. Both of them, the handle is just Come Look at This Show. So we are on Instagram at Come Look at This Show and on YouTube at Come Look at This Show. And you can find us on both of those platforms. If you could give the page a follow, it would mean a lot.
Yes.
And Reina, do you have anything to add?
I do not. I appreciate everybody that's been listening, rocking with us.
Of course.
New
Shout out to Australia.
followers.
We had 10 listeners in one day in Australia.
Australia, come on now, down under.
Yeah. Shout out to Australia, man.
Yeah. Fat Freddy's Drop Land. Well, they from New Zealand, but close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I
think
New
we're
Zealand is
good.
going to be pissed.
They are going to be pissed. The Kiwis are different, okay? I know you're
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
But you guys know who Fat Freddy's Drop is in Australia, okay? That's the only reason I said it.
That's it.
Sorry. You got kangaroos and all the fucking shit that wants to bite us and kill us.
And to be fair, your accents are both cool, so I hope that helps.
Thank you very much. So I guess that's it. We'll catch you on the next episode of Somebody Come Look at This.